So long before there was Garth Brooks on my iPad, and before there was Jimmy Buffett, there was Neil Young. Any Neil Young fans? I was watching him the other day on TV, a special. Did you know he's 69 and he's still touring? Or I think it was last year he was touring. And he walks out on stage and he says, I just want to come out with my friends, let the muse do its thing, and have fun. Well, this morning when I woke up and I reread my talk that I wrote 3 days ago, I thought, well, we're going to let the muse have fun. Because what was I thinking? And what does that have to do with what? We're in the midst of our January series called Resolutions to Results. Anybody made a resolution and had a result this week? Come on and be brave. Yay, thank you. I'm so glad. It's the folks in the back and John up here. All right. Woohoo. Back row folks, you know the truth. Last week we had the opportunity to get a white stone and to choose a word of inspiration that would be a foundation for us to move forward, to stretch into those goals and those things and that experience of life, of prosperity that we want to have. And I gave you 3 keys last week. Be bold. The one you all love. Be accountable. That's why you didn't remember it. And be love. And you know what the truth is? On Sunday morning, we're going to handle the be love. Amen? You know, there's a love vibration that lives here. It's here all the time. It's here during the week. And then I like to think that we just gas it up on Sunday morning. Or we come to get our own tanks refilled. You know, because both of those things happen. That interchange of love. And yet be love, as we talked about it last week briefly, was about being compassionate with ourselves. And being willing to give to ourselves the same break we would give another person. I also promised you that we'd take a look at some teachers who have had some resolutions to results. And let me again just remind us that resolutions, not in the traditional sense of it's the new year and how in our culture we've decided a resolution at January 1 was some magical thing. I have no idea. A resolution is a declaration. I am clear. This is who I am. This is what I want. What is that saying? If I can conceive it, I can believe it, and I can achieve it. I'm sorry? Achieve it or receive it. All right, I like that little addition. And that's where we are. Resolutions to results is getting in touch with the truth about our heart's desire. And here's the thing. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to earn $700,000 from the $30,000 I earn today. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about how do we put a magic penny in the machine and get what we want. We're talking about a resolution within ourself. And so as we learn to be bold, to be accountable, and to be love, and we return to those tools, we can achieve our heart's desire. So in goal setting, I want to talk about Siddhartha and Jesus this morning. Now, Siddhartha is the name that many of us know as Buddha, and Siddhartha was the name that he was born with. So Siddhartha became Buddha, just as Jesus became the anointed, and that's how we have the word Christ. So let's look at both of those teachers. A little bit about goal setting and goal awakening. When we set a goal, we have things we have to let go of, and we touched base on that. Well, actually, I preached and pointed and wagged my finger last week about that. So none of that this week. Yet, as a teacher, I want you to take a look at Siddhartha and his life. He was born into great riches. He was the prince. And he was so beloved by his father that his father built walls around the palace so that he could never see the suffering and poverty of the world. But there was something within him, something that drew him, something that said, I can't stay in these walls. He had to give up the riches to begin his journey of enlightenment. Now, Jesus, I got to tell you, I imagine if I was born a carpenter's son, I probably didn't have a whole lot to start with. And to think I'm going to wander around and let other people give me places to sleep and feed me, there's a level of trust. I'm going to go from I sure don't have a whole lot to I'm going to choose to perhaps have absolutely nothing. But in both of those teachers' examples, there was faith. There was faith that allowed them to trust in that journey. So as we set our goals, we need to have an awareness of that faith. Because the faith isn't out there and we don't have to go get it like we pick it on a tree. The faith is already here. We get to trust that faith and listen to that guidance. So that's our goal setting, okay? There's our little template for goal setting. We got to give up, and in giving up, well, here's my favorite phrase, and sometimes people really roll their eyes, but it's served me pretty well in my life so far. I've got to give up my good to make room for my better. Give up my good to make room for my better. Yeah. So that's our goal setting. So our goal awakening. Our goal awakening is when, as we embark on this journey together this year, we're willing to do the work. Several weeks ago, we lost a great Unity leader, 90-something, Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman. And she used to say, it works if you work it. It works if you work it. And that's what we're about this year. We're going to work it. And it's about our individual journey of working it. And then are we willing to also broaden our perspective to see how it affects our family, our friends, and our spiritual community? Because if it works when we work it as an individual, how's it going to work when we work it as a whole church? There is no limit. There is no limitation. You all are looking at me like maybe she's just talking out of her head. This is exciting stuff, folks. There's no limitation. Let's all say that denial together. There is no limitation. That's y'all's homework. I ain't got nothing else to say. There is no limitation. There is no limitation. There's no limitation. But also in that no limitation, here's what I need you to hear. In no limitation is peace. Not right or wrong, not good or bad. There's peace. So what means no limitation for me that brings me peace may not be no limitation for you that brings you peace. And that's the beauty of our individuality, because we get to do it. As Frank Sinatra said, my way. And some ways are harder than other ways. So come on Sunday morning and find a few shortcuts, okay? Because we're going to do this all year. Don't let that chase you off. But we are about transformation. So when we are goal awakening, we are willing to go through processes. Whether we show up at a workshop and have an experience, or we're like Siddhartha and we sit under the tree. I'm making a lot of assumptions that you all know the story of the Buddha and Siddhartha. Unfortunately, I do not have, I'm looking at the time. I can't go through all of the story, but he came to himself and realized that going within. And so sitting out beneath the tree. Legend has it was 7 years. No speaking, no moving, no eating. Who knows? I'm sure there's metaphysics to the Buddha story. I just don't know them. I wasn't schooled in that. Jesus went through the transformative process of baptism. And remember, he had the experience of cleansing himself by wandering in the desert for 40 days. And we know in unity that we metaphysically interpret 40 days not to mean literally almost 6 weeks. It means as long as it takes. The good news and bad news in unity. As long as it takes. And that's where we get to be inspired by each other. The ushers have a handout for you, and they're going to bring them forward now and pass them down the row. And on one side, it talks about New Year's resolutions and goals and asks you what the benefit is. That's for you to take home and do. Because I invite you to come up with at least one goal for yourself. It can be anything you want. It could be that you clean out your garage twice this year. It can be truly whatever you want. But the second goal I want you to write is a stretch goal. You know what I mean when I say a stretch goal? It's going to require a little bit more than what our our glorious mind tells us is possible. But here's the tricky. I don't know. Here's my favorite part. How about that? I want you to write a BHAG. Oh, y'all are not from the South. A BHAG. A big, hairy, audacious goal. I want you to write a BHAG. I want you to write one, let's see, in some unity circles we'd say, that's big enough for God. Well, yes. And I'm going to remind you, God is not a man in the sky pulling your puppet strings to give you what you want. The Spirit that is within you, the power that lives within you, is always greater than any condition. So what's your BHAG? What's your big, hairy, audacious goal? 3 goals. Basically one that satisfies your ego that says, she told me I had to do this. The second one that says, oh, well, maybe I'll stretch into something I've been thinking about. Oh, please. I saw a friend of mine's Facebook page yesterday, and her goal for the year is to learn new things. So she's knitting. Okay, that's great. Personally, I don't have time for that. Or I don't like to sit still that long. Maybe that's what it is. What is a goal for you that you're going to stretch, that you've been wanting to do? And then what's that goal that says, with God, all things are possible? Together? With God, all things are possible. And here's your spiritual support. You can see it listed right here. You can do something inspiring every morning, like read the daily word. I love this one. Pray with a prayer chaplain on Sunday morning here at Unity. Commit to coming to Unity each week to be inspired and surround yourself with other like-minded people who support you. And when you flip it over on the other side, there's some of those affirmations. What I perceive and believe I can achieve, all things are possible to those who believe. I love Norman Vincent Peale. Remember him? Yeah? I don't believe in defeat. Together? I don't believe in defeat. Another way that we think Jesus taught this is if you have faith, nothing shall be impossible to you. Remember that faith we talked about? At the bottom's a little bit of green space. What if a resolution was, I choose for 60 seconds every day to repeat, within me is a power that is always greater than the conditions before me. Together? Within me is a power that is always greater than the conditions before me. This is a loving community. We are here to support each other. We are here to grow and stretch. It takes nothing more than 30 seconds of turning the television on to answer, why would we grow and stretch? Because the answer is the world needs our consciousness of the power of high vibration. And high vibration does not mean that the deaths of those 11 people was right or wrong. High vibration says how it happened did not need to happen if those who pulled the trigger knew the truth of who they are. And that's the truth. And that's why we're here at church. Somebody said, oh, I don't need to grow and stretch. I like myself just the way I am. I thought, Lord, I wouldn't want to be in your shoes this week because something's going to happen. You're going to get a phone call, a letter, IRS, something. You know, we are here to lift the world. And it is a privilege. And it gets to be joyful, even in challenging moments. Don't hesitate to call a friend. Don't hesitate to pray with a prayer chaplain. Get on our church website. Put something on the blog. Ask a question. Reach out. Know that you're not alone. Resolutions to results. Amen.